Okay, we are live. Welcome to Liquidation Motivation and what would you say? In tangent in partnership with Flippin' Ain't Easy. This is John. Welcome, John, to the show.
How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm happy to be here. I got to work late, but I'm here.
Okay.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah. Well, what's late for you? Because this is
Uh,
early for me.
oh, that's right. I got here at 10 a.m.
Okay.
I usually like to be here around 8. Sorry, not 8. Around 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
What time is it there for you in
Right now
Vegas?
it's 8:31 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
What time do you normally get up?
About this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just it's for me. I work. That's the great thing about having your own business, right? You can just do whatever you want. And that's probably the thing that I need to work on the most in this is because, when you work a corporate job, you come in, you're expected to be from at least from this time to this time. If you're on a salary, you stay late if you have to. But with your own business, I mean, the only person that you're accountable is yourself. So there's many times that for me, I know that maybe I want to work at night sometimes, so I'll stay up late and sleep in late. Um, I guess and it doesn't really affect anything. I mean, whether I list an item at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. or 5 p.m., as long as that item is listed, then I guess you could argue, well, a potential customer could have bought your item had you got up earlier and listed it. But I don't really see that. I really don't see it as hurting my business, but I tend to sort of work throughout the day. So I'll work a few hours here. I need to go and maybe run an errand or two. I'll do that, come back, start working some more. And that's kind of how my day goes.
So, when it comes to running, where do you see health when it comes in the mix? Like
I have
long-term
an
health.
exercise bike that I need to use more than I do. Went out and bought it because I knew that I don't get a whole lot of exercise. Now it's just like anything. It's just like listing on eBay. You go out and buy the pallet, you store it, and you're all excited about it. You think it's great. You might even keep stuff for yourself. But now when it's time to actually list, or in this case, use the bike, it's sporadic and it's
Yeah,
not where it needs to be.
I understand. I want to say good morning to Harry Briggs. Good morning. Good morning. Um, Today's conversation that I wanted to have with you um, is if you started fresh, if you wanted to start a brand new business, how would you start? And I'll give you some scenarios. But this episode will be dedicated to our new friend Ayo and Ike. They wanting to start a new business, and I I want to coach them, but I'm not sure if I have the time to be able to do that. So I figured we can have just an episode and talking about I guess the initial aspects of of our business and what would you do differently if you knew what you knew now. So let me paint a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that you knew that this coming January or March, you would receive your income tax return. It's
Okay.
going to be a nice chunk.
Okay.
Let's say, let's say, let's say $5,000. No, let's say $6,000.
Okay.
How would you go about starting a reselling business? Because as you know, we have here at Liquidation Motivation, Tom has bin stores. He's got liquidation stores. He's got eBay, but he started at the flea market.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to tell me how you would do it, and then and let you know how I would do it, knowing what I know now.
Okay. And that's the preface. Knowing what I know now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I ask you that
So
because Well, I ask you that because
Well,
this
I'm
has
gonna
kind of
say it's
actually
the
happened to
new
me.
people.
I mean, I
Oh,
have experience with
sorry,
this, and
new.
that I had experience as a part-time eBayer, right? And then
Okay.
I knew that I had a 2-month notice to become a full-time eBayer, or go out in the corporate world and try to find another 9 to 5. And I felt like this is something that's doable, and so even armed with knowledge on doing it part-time, I royally screwed up like the first month and thought I was doing a great
Mm.
job. So now there's a lot of people out there that don't have this $6,000, let's say, but we're talking about just specifically for the person that has $6,000. Well, now let me ask you the parameters here. Does this person, now are we saying this person just all of a sudden just wanted to start selling on eBay, making that a career without knowing anyone, like yourself? Or
Um, well, they are leaning on channels like ours,
okay,
where
okay,
where they receiving this information
right,
from channels like ours.
okay. So that's the first start for me, is to go on to eBay, not eBay, but onto YouTube, and to find some good content. Maybe check out channels like yours or myself, and see what they're saying, and see if it even resonates with you at all. One mistake I got caught up in is, okay, we're going to do this full time. I've got a severance package that I'm going to be working with, and, I'm going to make this work. So, like the day after our last day at the office, I'm like, okay, let's get in the car. Let's head out to Ross. Let's go to Marshall's, and we're going to go in and we're going to go through all the shoes, because there's a channel out there for shoes called I think it's Hustle Hacks or Hustler
Mm,
Hacks.
I'm familiar. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, this guy's getting shoes, he's flipping them. This is going to be great. So we get out there and we're going through, we're doing little things that we saw him tell us to do, and it was a fail because maybe we didn't hit enough locations. We did get some sales, but it wasn't anywhere near enough to sustain a full-time business at all. And then we went to other stores. We bought all the clearance stuff. We brought it home. I even, so I had a bunch of Nikes here. I had a bunch of like kids stuff here, all this stuff. And I'm posing in front of my wife's taking photos of me, and we're posting on Facebook, like, look at this great adventure that we're on. And then we go to list it and it's like crickets. And so I had to learn like the hard way. And then I finally got into, let's just do a pallet. Now, for someone who doesn't have any of this experience, it's important that you lean on the person that you're relying on for the information. So, like I had a friend, Mike. I even put a video. I was one of my worst videos, I think I put out, and it's not his fault. But we were out playing golf, and we were talking about the time that I was trying to set him up to start selling on eBay as a full-time reseller. He's getting retirement and all that stuff. He wanted something to supplement his income. And, so I said, okay, look, let's go in on halves on a pallet. So he's like, okay, here's what I got to work with. So, that showing them that I'm willing to take the same risk as they are. Right.
Hmm.
And so he trusted that. And so we ordered this pallet, and it was just an electronics pallet. It was a great looking pallet, and from a company I don't talk about anymore. And this top 6 items, we're talking, there's PlayStations, Xbox Ones, there's a Onkyo receiver. They're like $200-300 items. None of them were in the actual pallet.
Oh no.
And so we did get the other stuff, but it wasn't the big tickets that we were looking for. So his $1,500 investment didn't look so hot, And so he comes over, we split everything up, takes it back. I'm answering his questions, he's listening and stuff. And after a few weeks, he's like, "Look, I just can't do this. I can't deal with the returns. There's all the pitfalls that sellers encounter." And sometimes people aren't ready for that. A lot of times people think it's a one and done. I'm going to sell this item, I'm going to get my money, and I'm good. And it doesn't always work that way. You got to answer questions. You got to deal with customers, people who don't read. deal with the frustrations that you and I have learned to deal with. And for some people, it's not they're not cut out for it, you know. And my daughter, she did some eBay stuff, kind of the same way, splitting a pallet with me to get her started, and also that's electronics. Also, she got into clothing, and it just you gotta be interested. Otherwise, if you're not 100% committed and interested in doing this as your career, then you know you can have all the best intentions you want, but you're going to fail. And I've watched it happen too many times.
I remember when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad for the first time, and in it, uh, he says that he bought and sold real estate. He was flipping this and that,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sell real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna save $20,000 at this hotel job, and I'm gonna buy my first property. Is probably gonna be like a two or three story family house, and I'm gonna do this and that." That never came about, of course. And I realized after reading the book several times more that in it he says, "Look, I'm not telling you to flip houses.
Right.
What I'm telling you to do is
Right.
find something that you like, because when you care about something,
Right.
you're going to treat it like your baby. And when things hit the fan, you're going to try to break through that barrier and try to take care of your baby.
Right.
Whereas if it's something that you don't, you're not going to, you're going to want to give up quicker.
Exactly.
That's exactly
Exactly.
what you said, right?
Yeah, it is. And I had the luxury of, you know, having experience since like 2002 and doing this eBay thing sort of on the side. Sometimes I'd go to like a computer swap meet. This is where I started buying computer components, and then bringing them home and listing them. You know, maybe I had no required amount that I had to do because it was just supplemental. If I wanted to list two or three in a day and maybe, you know, do that, there was no pressure, you know. Went from that to then years later helping a friend sell diamonds on eBay, low clarity diamonds, that kind of thing. And then help someone sell a bunch of Harley Davidson $10,000 pool tables. Then received just a pallet full of stun guns one time, you know. And you know, just going through and just selling random stuff on the side. I've done everything on eBay. I've even done drop shipping. You know, I did drop
Yeah.
shipping for about a year, you know, while I was working, and that was an adventure, I'll tell you that. But for somebody, so for me to go full time after doing all these things, it wasn't that hard because and even that, with all the mistakes that I made, it still wasn't that hard because I had the experience, I had the failures. But if someone that, you know, you're dealing with that's new, that's probably the hardest hurdle is, you know, getting through that first year. And you're going to feel like you're out of your element because you're going to encounter so many things that you didn't envision before you got started. Now, to me, it's just like any new job that you go and deal with, right? So if you know, I lose this job and I go to another 9 to 5, I'm going to have to learn all their rules, their processes, you know, how to use this tool, how to do that. And there's really not any difference here. Maybe you might have a little bit more support in a work environment because there's other people there with you. Whereas if you're doing eBay or any other type of online reselling, you're on your own. That's why having the support is really good. Now, you know, it's one thing for them to reach out to you and say, "Hey, you know, I'm encountering this, that, and the other thing," and you might not even have time for it all. I mean, because you're going to have a lot of phone calls. But it's going to be different for them just to say, "Okay, maybe Esteban's available for me, you know, to mentor me." And if they're not, they're going to really feel like, sort of like my friend Mike did, that it was just overwhelming because I didn't have time to really hold his hand. You know, it's like, here's what it is. You're welcome to come over and sit with me and watch how I do it, but I don't have time to go over there and to go through your stuff with you and to list stuff for you. I've got my own stuff I got to list. So
Yeah.
he didn't want to do all that. He lost interest because of that. And I kind of don't blame him, but at the same time, I really wish he would have given it a more of you know,
A fair
real,
shot.
yeah. So you know, you just got to know that now the friends of yours that are wanting to do this, have they sold on eBay before, or is it just something they came across and thought this would be a good thing, huh?
Yes, and I believe they bought a pallet, if I'm not mistaken. Good morning, Stanley. Um, so I believe they bought a pallet, and they're waiting for that to arrive, and then they're gonna sell that. Sell what's in the pallet.
So that's the biggest mistake that I made, and I see others making is, I'm going to buy this pallet, right? And so I did the same. I made the same mistake, and it's really sad that eBay is almost promoting people to make mistakes, like the same mistake I made, and that was buying from a site or promoting a site that
Go
does.
ahead, you could say it.
Well, I am, but
Okay.
promoting a site that does not give value to its sellers, and that is bulk.com. I'm sure you knew I was talking about there, right?
bulq.com,
Yeah, yeah,
everyone.
yeah. And I was thinking about doing a video, and you know, this for me is, I've had experience dealing with bulk.com. I'm in their database. They've sold to me years ago, and I was on board with the, I'm going to get a pallet thing, right? And so you get the
Mhm.
general merchandise pallet or whatever, and you get it, and now what? You know, I've got a bunch of stuff, right? And for me, they make it look better than what it actually is. So
Mhm.
you get it, and this $10,000 MSRP pallet isn't worth 1,500, and you're into it for 2,000. So now, instead of looking forward to making some money, I'm just scrambling to try to get my money back, you
Yeah.
know? And now what you've done is you've wasted your time. And time is money in this business. So yeah, I don't want others to make that mistake, but of course, eBay, I don't seem to think that they care, or they know that you're not getting a whole lot of value. It's not and I'm sure you can attest to it, or maybe you can't, but I've bought at least 5 lots, 3 pallets from bulk when I first got started doing this thing. And I got to tell you, it was a big mistake.
Yeah. I understand that Tom is going through a similar situation. I don't think it's through bulk. And he received a pallet that was manifested incorrectly.
Really?
Um, it it showed it had the right items and the right quantity of items.
Hmm.
However, the retail prices on them were really drastically
Inflated,
different.
inflated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a Facebook user. His name is Nick Sturgill, and he asks, "Have you tried pallet liquidation through other sources?"
Well, other than bulk, yeah, I've done a B stock. I've done the site I don't talk about, but I'll mention their name, Direct Liquidation. I've done reviews. If you check my channel out, I've done reviews on some pallets that I did through them, and they are the ones that I went through when I got the pallet with my buddy Mike, and we found that, and I bought 21 pallets from them over about a year and a half. And things started off great, and they went downhill. You know, of course, you got your liquidation.coms. You got your blue lots. You have your I keep forgetting the one that Lindy Glenn deals with, but
That's Wholesale Ninjas.
Wholesale Ninjas, yes. You have all your different ones. I would think that your best ones are probably the ones you can find locally, like on Marketplace. But you got to be really careful because, as you guys know in this business, that there are, you guys probably get truckloads that are picked through. It's like, you get stuff, you're expecting to get good stuff in this. Your mix of bad and good, right? But all you get is bad and mediocre. You know that that the lot's been picked through. That's the risk you take on unmanifested returns or pallets. But it's good to be able to go to the place. So if you're doing it locally, you're saving on all that shipping cost, that freight cost to have it shipped to your location, whether it's your house or your business. And it's one of those things where you can see, if you can go to the place that sells the pallets, you can actually take a look and see what is in the pallet. Maybe look it up on eBay. They want $200, $300 for this pallet. Now you can see, at least the stuff on the outside, most of it's wrapped. You can see at least a few items and get an idea if you're going to make anything on the listing. No matter what, because I sell everything, pretty much everything on eBay. I don't have a niche or a specific category that I sell in. So for me, I have to rely on the last 90 days solds. I mean, some people use Terapeak. I don't go that far. I just use the solds within the last 90 days on eBay, and I get an idea of, based on the condition that I'm dealing with, so I can see in this pallet, this looks like it might be opened already or it might be used. So a used whatever, what is that going to sell for? And then I kind of get an idea of what that pallet is going to make me. And more often than not, I'm right. So, but that's because I have experience. The bottom line in this business is you cannot go into it thinking that you're going to hit a home run. You may, but you probably are going to fall flat on your face as well. And you just have to learn to get up from it, learn from the experience so you don't make the same mistake again. I've probably lost thousands of dollars simply from mistakes. And I'm still doing it because I've learned from those mistakes. And I think that's kind of why I put my channel together, so I can help pass those mistakes on. Now, I don't get into a lot of liquidation talk on my channel. It's more about policy and stuff. But I just don't think that there's a whole big demand for liquidation information. That's kind of why I don't talk about it so much. But there's lots. I mean, for me, I probably just touched the surface on just a few I mentioned. You probably have so many in your area alone. You could probably go to your local Goodwill. You could probably go to your local, if you have a bin store, and they're probably selling pallets. And the thing is, you want to make it clear to whomever you're doing business with that, hey, this is something I'm looking to do long term. I'm not just in here to buy one pallet and you'll never see me again. So, I want you to point me in the right direction to a good pallet. And, if you can let me look inside or let me get an idea of what's in the pallet, that is helpful. But, any serious seller of pallets is going to want your repeat business, and they're not going to give you their trash and expect you to come back. So that's just it. It's about building relationships, networking, all the intangibles that we've learned over the years. You're going to have to be able to learn and figure out what you're doing, and that's the toughest part of it.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up the name of the person who's commenting. Just a sec. I don't have it. But
I would say, though, I mean, the other way, I mean, going back to the initial question, what would you have someone do? Now, if you have $5,000 or $6,000, certainly look into pallets. But I think maybe, just maybe, it's best to start off slow. The stuff that's in your own house, maybe you have stuff in your closet, your garage, that hasn't seen the light of day in the last 10 years. Get it listed. Give that a shot first before you put money into it, because it's not so much about the money. You might have $6,000 sitting there ready for you to invest, but how are you going to feel if you invest $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 into a pallet, and after the first week you're like, I absolutely hate doing this and I'm not going to list anymore? Now you're sitting on $3,000, $4,000 worth of stuff that you're never going to move. So use the first month, learn the system, learn how to list, learn, how to deal with customers, watch all the YouTube videos you can. And then once you've decided, hey, I can do this, then do it.
So, all right. There's a Facebook user has a question on List Perfectly, but I want to address that later. And then I have Derek Solomon question about where to look for pallets to begin with, and that is a conversation we're having right now in regards to the different places. But
Yeah.
I'll get back to you, Derek. I want to share what I would do, and pretty much everything that you said. But I want to give it a little bit more. I want to support you in saying that in my favorite book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Um, have you ever read it?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's a book about
I
how
don't
do
have time
you
to read. I'm too busy working, man.
listen to the audiobook. Listen, I'll
Okay.
send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Um, in the book, Arcad is the richest man in Babylon, and he's approached by his friends, and they're like, um, how can you become rich? And he answers how he does it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest things that one of the gems in the book says he tells his friends, how can I do big things if I can't handle the small things first?
Right.
And so if I had the $6,000 in this scenario that we're painting, I'm not saying that our friends have that. All I'm saying is this is the scenario paint for any new seller that received $6,000 and wants to do a reselling business.
Yes.
I would not take the whole $6,000 and just buy a bunch of inventory.
Right.
What I would do is start small, just like Arcad. What I would do is start at the thrift store, get familiar what's available to me, and understand how the whole platform works.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to do this? Like you said, do I want to do this first of all? So I'm going to have to do the work first from start to finish, write down all the steps, and then try to do it in one category at first. You said that yourself that you're not you don't specify in, or you don't specialize in one niche, and that's
Right.
because you started off at one niche, and now you can add the other categories to you. You know, am I right?
Well, no, it's because I was dealing with what I had to work with. So, like for instance, the example I give is to go and find stuff in your garage in your house because you have no money invested in that.
Right.
So that if you fail, well, then it didn't cost me anything.
That's correct.
But that new seller isn't going to really know. I mean, what, are clothes good or shoes good or electronics good? And then when they get to that thrift store, they're going to be going up and down the aisle. Well, this looks nice, but it may have no value. It might be a third-party knockoff brand, but it looks nice. And they buy it for the $5 listed. They get home and they can only make $1 after fees and everything. So now they're kind of disappointed. And, so next time they go back, okay, I'm not going to sell this, even though there's a lot of good stuff here. You just grab that wrong item. And now I'm going to look at shoes or clothing, and you get a bunch of it and you're like, oh, this is great. You get home, and because you're selling in a saturated category like clothing, now you're disappointed because I'm not getting sales. I'm only getting one here and one there. That was the biggest disappointment with me with clothing is, it's such a saturated market that there's so much competition out there trying to sell their clothing. And now you're trying to do the same thing. So for me, it's about finding just what the stuff that you have at your house that costs you nothing.
Yes.
And then now I noticed that these electronics that I have that have been sitting around seem to sell pretty fast. These old clothes that I've been sitting on for years, yeah, they sell, but not so good. So maybe that's going to give me an idea on when I go to Goodwill or when I buy that pallet, what kind of items that I need to be looking for without spending a dime, because I think that's the biggest thing that, people get this money and they go out and they go out and buy. And in fact, you can poll most eBay sellers, and the most fun part about this business is the buying, right? They go out and buy, this is going to be great. That's going to be great. Or this pallet's going to be good. That's pallet's not. And then they get it and they haven't really done the homework. They're just kind of going off a visual, and now they're disappointed and they want to quit. So
Yeah.
my thing is, for a new seller, get an idea of what you want to sell before you start dumping a whole bunch of money into it. That's, if you want to start off with a yard sale, that's another great place to go. But have a strategy. Don't just start grabbing stuff and throw it in your basket. Have that cell phone, have your eBay app, learn how to use it, learn how to look for the solds, learn your conditions. And after you do that, it's a piece of cake.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean,
Piece of
to,
cake.
to write every single step down as well while you're working on it allows you to create your standard operating procedures so you can
Your
understand
SOP. Yeah.
what it takes,
Yeah.
what it takes to do this. And now you can start tweaking it along the way, and then implementing either people or other automated systems to take over those things.
Yeah.
And this leads me to this Facebook user's question about using List Perfectly. And yes, I have used List Perfectly, and we
Mhm.
are using List Perfectly right now in regards to selling on other platforms, so we can be on multiple marketplaces.
Right.
Um, that's one of the tools that we could use to do that. Now, uh, the question is, when it comes to cross posting to multiple marketplaces, I've read up the List Perfectly, and it seems to be what you're looking for, but don't know anyone's used it yet. So I've used it. I use it, and with Resale America specifically, we are only listing the multi-quantity items, and we're only listing on Mercari for now. And we have a VA that's in charge of cross posting those multi quantity items onto Mercari using List Perfectly.
Mhm.
And then she'll branch off and start using another platform, then another platform, and another platform. Um, we're only doing the multi quantity items now because of, I believe, I don't believe our team is ready to manage one-off items. If it sells in Mercari, it gets delisted from. It has to be delisted from eBay manually.
Mhm.
If something is sold on Mercari, all we gotta do is just change the quantity back to one,
Right.
or relist it, I should say, because you can only list. There's no multi-quantity on Mercari, as
Right.
far as I know. I
I
don't
don't
think.
think there is.
Yeah. So we use List. Yes, we use List Perfectly. If you want to send me an email and want to know a little bit more about it, let me know. But this goes back to that initial statement I made. Start off with one platform, get really familiar with that platform, and then you can start attaching the other ones. It's
Right.
and it's always best to do some research and find out uh, the category that you have. Like, for example, let's say that you did buy a a, a pallet, and in it mostly in one specific category. Go and research and figure out which platform this category sells on better. Does it sell better on Mercari, or does it sell better on Posh? Does it sell better on Facebook Marketplace? Does it sell better on eBay?
Mhm.
In our opinion, there are more people on eBay than any other platform, except for Amazon, of course.
Mhm.
When it comes to used and um, return goods, eBay would be the best place to start, and then add all the other branches if you choose to do so. If, do the math too to see if it's even worth your time. In my opinion, most of the time it's not. Um, if you're in a position where you could either list around and you want to list either on Mercari or on eBay, list it on eBay. And then when you're done with your death pile and you have nothing else to list, then okay, now you can start listing the stuff on eBay onto these other platforms. But but don't put one a focus on everything. Otherwise, you're going to start to spread yourself thin. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. But you also got to, and this is something you got to learn for yourself, but I'll give you what I've found. With Mercari, for instance, it's a lot like eBay, but
Mhm.
the clientele seems to be a little bit different. It seems to be more like an online yard sale, if I'm being blunt. So anything that you have that sort of my thing, what I do is if it's sort of an item that's say under $20, that's probably more suited for Mercari than eBay. At least my findings, because I had a wide range of items in my store, anywhere from like $8 or $7 on up to whatever. And I noticed on eBay, those smaller selling ticket items weren't really selling very well. And then I got a VA I told him, look, my half of my store, I want you to put up on Mercari. And they did that. And I noticed that the smaller ticket items were selling on Mercari. And these are items that have been sitting in my eBay store for months. Was able to move those. And I figured, hey, wait. So if I get smaller ticket items, for me, I think based on my experience, that's probably the best place, Mercari. And then my larger ticket items go on eBay. That's kind of the formula that I would follow. But I don't do a whole lot of Mercari. I haven't contracted that VA out in a while to come back in and list more items. I've been staying away from the items that if I can't get at least $20 for it, that's after shipping, then for me it's not really worth my time. Once in a while, I'll be in the middle of listing something and realize I can only get 15 for it, but I don't want to be bogged down listing $5-10 profit items. One thing that kind of shocked me, and I'll share this with you, and to each his own, but was watching. I watch all kinds of YouTube channels. I was watching Rockstar Flipper. I think a lot of you guys have heard of them or heard of him. I actually had a chance to meet him out in Vegas when he came out. Nice guy.
Oh, that's great. I met him several times because he's here.
He just came out with a video saying, $11,000 in sales. And I'm like, okay, what is he talking about? Because to me, $11,000 is a pretty good month. He's talking about 90 days. And I was really shocked by that because, big time YouTuber. And he has like 1,200 listings in his store, but it's a bunch of small items. And he said something that I did not agree with, and that was you need to sell $500. I'm sorry, 500 items in a month if you want to make $6,000-7,000. And I don't agree with that. I don't have the largest of stores. It's like 500 items. I don't put a whole lot of small stuff in there at all. It's more $20, $30, $40, $50 items and higher, because I want to spend, my day listing 10 items, 20 items, between 10 and 20, that at the end of the day, it's not about how many items I'm listing. It's how much have I put up on eBay money wise. So if I can get $500 to $1,000 a day on eBay versus $500 worth of items, but I just listed 100. In my mind, I think that I'm going to be better off doing it the way I do it with a smaller store. It's easier to maintain. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's kind of where I am on that.
Well, I think there is a true meaning to the word, to the phrase vanity metrics. Vanity metrics meaning that it's just vain for these specific numbers. And here's what I mean. The feedback that you receive, I want to have 10,000 feedbacks. Who cares? It has to do with the dollar amount that you bring in that week.
That's right.
Does it matter what items you list this week? Yes, it does. And what you just said is correct. I believe that if I'm listing a bunch of $10 items instead of the $100 items that's in my death pile, then I'm doing something wrong, because I need to recover as fast as possible. So this way I can buy more inventory and flip it around. That's what this whole business is about, right? Reselling is about as fast as possible. However, I don't do that, and I'm going to explain why. And it has nothing to do with it's not that I disagree with you. It's that here at Resale America, we're receiving so much that's coming in.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that we just take all of it and just put it on the conveyor belt and take it. We pull it from either the pallets, they throw it on a rack. The rack comes to the studio. The photographers photograph everything that's on that rack. Those pictures go to the VAs. The VAs list those items. The other VA reviews and prices in them and launches them. So we have a system, conveyor
Mm-hmm.
belt. So um, this way we don't have a death pile.
Mm-hmm.
Everything gets listed no matter what, and then at the very end is when we price and launch them. But that's
Okay.
just because of the nature of of resale America, um, and the nature of buying through pallets. So when it came to my store, I sell mostly clothing in my store, and the way we did it was we we broke down a pallet, and while we were breaking down the pallet, there's a lot of garbage there, so they need to be tossed out. When I mean by garbage, I mean flawed items like rips, stains, soiled tears, pulls, whatever. When it comes to clothing, we got to throw that away, and then what's left over, we figure out what we're going to do to, and most of it we just take pictures of. Um, but then we have another pile of home runs, and those home runs are like vintage T-shirts. They are uh, uh, like high-end brand items, and we will list those first. So,
Mm-hmm.
John, what you said is what we do for my store, but not necessarily for Resale America. Tom just had a conversation with me just a second ago, before this call, actually, in
Mm-hmm.
regards to he's got a wall. I call it the death pile wall,
Yeah.
and he's got a bunch of inventory there sitting, and I list it. And he today says no. What he wants to do is list it himself, and so this way we can manage a little differently when it comes to the high end items.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. For me, and I don't get product in nearly as often as you guys get it. I mean, you guys get it in by the truckload. I just get it by per pallet, maybe one or two pallets a week is what I process. But when I get that bundle of items in this pallet that's not within my criteria, meaning that I want to make very minimum $20. I might go, like I said, down to 15, but for me, it's not even worth my time. I will put those items in boxes, and I will accumulate those boxes. When I get about 15 to 20, throw it up on Marketplace saying, hey, I got this liquidation stuff. Of course, we've gone through it, but if you want something for like a bin store situation or a flea market or Mercari, a lot of the stuff that I don't want to mess with does well on Mercari, as I mentioned before, that type of thing. Come get all 20 boxes for $200, like $10 a box. And for me, I'll get it sold within a week on Marketplace. Someone will come pick it up and it's out of my hair. I can take that money, put it towards another pallet. And again, I'm back and going through that cycle again. I'm evaluating what I can make. Nowadays, I'm getting pallets that are a little larger size, like the Amazon mediums to large. I don't think they're large. It's probably mediums is probably what you guys would refer them to. But those are average price like $100 a piece, on Amazon, sometimes a lot higher. And for me, it fits my criteria. I have fewer and fewer items that don't fall into my criteria that I have to do the whole reliquidation thing with. So that's kind of what works for me. But I find that I don't have a lot of death pile stuff. It's just I have a lot of stuff that I'm accumulating because I'm buying more pallets now this time of year. So I think that's another pitfall. You get a lot of items, right, that may seem okay, and then you find out they're only worth $10. Who's really motivated to go through and list $10 items all day? Now I see what you're saying. You have like a mix that comes in, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering though, if the name of the game is to um, we want to make X amount of dollars this month, right? If you take the effort that you're listing those small ticket items in your store and put those aside and focus only on items that meet a certain criteria, get those listed only, and allow that other stuff to fall into a bin or whatever and mess with those some other way by liquidation or whatever, I'm wondering how much more you would make. You guys got a pretty big store, but I'm wondering how much more you'd make. Also, your sell-through rate would go up, I believe, if you had higher ticket items, if you focused on higher ticket items rather than, I'm going to sell what comes across this conveyor belt, right? Whether it's a $200 item or a $10 item, you just say, look, we're going to focus. We have all the items we want because you guys get truckloads, right? Wonder if you guys said, look, we're going to set this criteria, maybe do it for a month, see how it works. Anything that has sold for $20 or more on eBay or higher, we want to go ahead and get listed now. Get as much money, because eBay will show you how many items you have listed. It'll also show you how much money that you have it listed for, cumulative. So like I think my store is like $15,000 to $20,000 in inventory for my 500 item store. That's like, it's like a $30 on average, $30 to $40 average sell point. And so that to me is, I think, the way to make money. I mean, it's one thing to make a lot of sales, right? But that's fine. I want to make a lot of money. I'd rather ship out 10 items and make 500 than ship out 25 and make the same 500. If that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I always brag about that. I increased my store from 2,000 items to 6,000 items. But again, that's a vanity metric. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, right?
But for some, it does. I mean, you see channels out there that says, look, I can list 200 items a day and I have 15,000 items in my store. What does that mean? If you look at the sell-through rate for the category that you're in, it's not very high. There's some categories like collectibles, vintage, clothing that sell like one for every 150 items you have in your store. So someone like Don, the auction professor, another good guy to watch to get information from, that guy's got thousands upon thousands of items in his store. And if you scaled it down to the size of my store, he's not selling as many items at all that I am, and I'm not saying my store is the greatest. I definitely need to fix a lot of stuff in my store, but it's just, if you take the mindset of listing a lot of these smaller items, that's taking a lot of your time away that you could be dedicating from stuff that's sitting around waiting for in queue that someone's looking for and is willing to pay good money for. And it just maximizing your time based on dollar value and not the number of listings, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to speak on what you had spoken earlier in regards to the conveyor belt thing, I might have misspoke. The items that come on that conveyor belt are already, they've already broken down the pallet in the processing area,
right?
And so those items are, we're not receiving things that are that can easily go to the bin stores.
Okay.
And as far as my store, I don't list, like, for example, kids' clothing or small stuff or things like that. I'll put that in a pallet, and then I'll sell the whole pallet to other people that deal in that category. Yeah. So you're thinking absolutely right. I also was going to say the same thing in regards to if our new friends have purchased a pallet, what I would do is break it down. And I'm going to use the Tom's ABC method. Okay. And this is what it is. If he were to buy each item, okay, from, let's say somebody comes into the store and sell an item,
right,
to the store, he would look at the item and say, is this an A item, B item, or C item? What that means is an A item would be a fast, high dollar sale. For example, an iPad, a MacBook Pro, a Beats headphones, something like that. Tom would spend 50% retail, knowing that he could sell it at 60, 70, and it'll sell fast.
Right.
He also says the B items are so A is the home run items. B is your bread and butter. These are items that are good sellers. Let's say an Acer laptop or a I don't know,
It's the items that you get when you get in the pallet and you're happy to see
a
them
pair,
because you know they're going to sell, that kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
a pair of Nikes or Timberland boots. Those are like bread and butter. They'll sell,
Right.
but he knows that he's not going to get top dollar for it if it's used or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
those are his bread and butter, and he'll pay up to 30% retail price, knowing that it'll sit a little for a little while, but he'll get some money off it. C items are your long tail items, okay, and those are items that would take a long time to sell. For example, clothing,
Yeah.
and it's for a specific buyer, and he'll pay only 10% of retail price, knowing that he could sell it for maybe 20 to 30% retail price.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I would advise to our new friends is if they bought a pallet, if they bought a pallet, I would break down that pallet, look at my A and sort and separate them based on A, B, and C items. Scan them, do some research on all of them, get to
Mm-hmm.
know my pallet, what's in my pallet, and I would sell my A items on eBay, and then the C items I would palletize. I would put it in a box, sell it on Facebook Marketplace, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and then my B items I might go to the flea market and sell that there.
Yeah. Or Mercari. That's your
Yeah,
online
right.
version. But see, some people don't have the luxury of that. Maybe some people are saying, look, I don't care about doing this full time. I have a 9 to 5. I really don't want to be messing with this like on a weekend, which is my only time with my family. I'm only looking to do this Monday through Friday for 3 hours a night, after I get home from work. That kind of thing. And you get a lot of people right now probably watching this that they fall right into that category, and they just want something to supplement the money that they're already making, and they don't want to, make it their life. You know.
But
Um,
but our new friends do want to make it their life.
okay. So I guess the first thing they need to do is make sure that this is something that, like we talked about, this is something that they really want to do. It's all nice when you're watching YouTubers, look at this nice car I'm driving. Look at this that we picked up here. We're selling this for that, and look at all the money we have. I mean, I guess I could get on my videos and like start bringing cash, and flaunting cash and making it look like things are better than
Making it
it
rain.
really is. But the reality is that most people are going to struggle. Most people are going to get into this, dump money into it, and then realize they made a mistake, or they don't want to do it. They don't like to do it. They'd rather work a 9 to 5. Some people don't have the mindset. Some people would need direction. They can't be their own boss. It just, the way they're programmed, it's easier for me. I ran my own departments. I developed my own SOPs, my processes for my different departments. And for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. And that's why it translates over well. For others who really, okay, I'm ready to go. What do I need to do? And they're constantly needing to be told to go do this or need to do that. They can't self-direct themselves. Those people are going to find that after they spend all this money on pallets, that this isn't working out so well. And, so that's why I say, don't go out and blow all that money right away. Give it a month. Give it. And now you might need the money. Like, right, I need something that's going to make me some money now because I don't have the job. Then you're kind of stuck, if you can't find another way to supplement the income, then you are going to have to jump in. But for those out there who want to do this full time as an alternative to going out and find another job, you might want to give it a good month of just selling part time to see if this is something that you can stomach full time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think we've exhausted this conversation. I think we've said everything that we needed to say in regards to starting a business.
Yeah.
I think that we will I think we could revisit this again, but in truth, it's really up to the person, like you say. It's up to the person on whether this is the way to go. And what's great about this is that we could do it in so many different ways. We already had that conversation in regards to we can run this business any way we want.
Right.
Right. So can we sell on create our own bin stores? Can we sell liquidation or have our own liquidation store, a little boutique? We could do so many different things with this, even and make the changes along the way. So I wish them luck, and I'm here, always here to help. Derek and who else was here? Oh, Harry Briggs.
Yeah.
Yes. If you guys have any questions, I put my email address on the bottom. If you have any questions, please reach out to me there, and I could answer your questions on a future episode. So this way, everyone gets to see the answers and because I'm sure that everybody's going to have the same questions.
Yeah.
That's how I like to do it. Do you have any closing statements?
Well, no, thank you for having me on the program. I am John from Flip It Ain't Easy. Check out my YouTube channel, and we talk to other eBay sellers out there and talk about different things that I come across, maybe that you can learn from, and through interaction through the audience. They also leave comments that help me learn and maybe have further material to talk about. For those of you who are interested in contacting me by email, I think Solomon had put something in there, or Derek had put something in there. My email is flippinainteasy. That's FLIPPINAINTEASY 2020 @gmail.com. And I'll be glad to get back to you if you have any questions. I'm constantly, helping others, whether it's through my YouTube or through email. And that's kind of what this is all about. And thank you again for having me on. I was glad to, and we'll be doing this more as I think every week, right?
Yeah, we're gonna try to do this regularly every Wednesday if possible. And we're going to try to get more people on board so that we can have a full conversation. I truly appreciate Harry and Derek for leaving comments, because that's how we can build a community and expand our community by commenting and interacting. So I truly appreciate it. Thank you for everyone for watching. I believe we had about 20 people on, and I want to say, now go out there and make some money.